All right, Dom, it's that show.
That show, Adam.
It's that show that never stops. Two Detroit nerds, ladies and gentlemen, here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in the private bunker, secret location. We're joined here by another great in-person guest. This is actually my oldest friend. This is actually just not one of my oldest friends. This is actually my biological twin brother, Davin Baxter. We've known each other, how many years, how many decades have we known each other at this point?
Oh, definitely one, probably two.
Yeah.
It can be more than two.
Yeah,
So.
you got to get the mic a little bit closer.
Yeah,
but
since fifth grade.
Yeah, fifth grade, man. And
That's awesome.
we've traveled to a lot of different places. Hit up a couple different cities throughout the years. But this is your first time in Detroit.
Yeah, first time in Michigan, first time in Detroit. Love it. You guys definitely know how to do a warm welcome.
Yeah. What was your experience just from your point of view? We went into downtown yesterday, checked out the DIA, checked out a bunch of different really cool restaurants and stuff. Then we had a little bit of fun at night. Went to a couple different adult mixers.
Yeah. One too many.
A couple local nightclubs. And man, I just kind of wanted to hear from you. What was that overall experience like?
The DIA is gorgeous and it really stands out. Detroit's cool because it's got a lot of these just underground spots that from the outside they don't really look like much, but as soon as you're in there, it's a completely different environment. I was really just surprised by every single venue that we walked into, and just how open everything was, spacious, the colors. It was just really, really cool.
It is colorful. Isn't that an interesting thing? Yeah, I was trying to figure out what is it that's so, I don't know, unique or just lively about a lot of these venues, and it's just their use of light arrays and colors, and it's just really lush and vibrant.
That's what's in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like hipster. I feel like not in a bad way. hipsters always use a bad way to describe
it. Right, but I know what you mean.
That's what I feel. It's like hipster. A lot of those places, like what you're talking about, look like nothing on the outside. It's everything on the inside.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. I mean, we did New Orleans back in the day, and New Orleans has a big history of being this warm, welcoming city, and everybody's so nice and yada yada. But I think Detroit beats that, man. I think this is actually the most welcoming place for especially people that have never been here. People really want to show you around and show you a good time.
Yeah, the amount of people that were just this is your first time in Detroit, welcome.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you here. I was just I don't know many cities where people are just kind of casually doing that.
Yeah.
There's always this misconception out there too, in any other state, you ask people about Detroit, their first idea of it is usually oh, it's dangerous, it's not safe, there's a lot of crime that goes on. But when you come here, it's literally the exact opposite. Now, don't get me wrong. All that shit is here. Very well. It's definitely here, but at the same time, it's the people here are just, I feel like you were already saying, just so down to earth.
Yeah.
You will come across the realest people in Detroit.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely just not a lot of pretension, not a lot of people putting up barriers or doing false displays of who they are. People just are who they are here, and I think that's a really unique thing.
Yeah,
but
they represent themselves very well.
Yeah, man. So, we talk anime, video games, music from time to time, movies from time to time. I mean, you've known my opinions for years, but, it'd be great to have you on the show and just kind of run through some of our, older topics just to kind of, show the guests, where we're at, what we think about a lot of stuff. So, for you, let's just go, top 3 animes.
Top 3 animes. Evangelion's up there. Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
And
Evangelion.
I was gonna say Naruto. But
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I was already okay with that answer. I don't know why.
Unfortunately, I mean, here's the thing. I don't think that Naruto's a bad show. And I've never thought it was a bad show. It's just, I never really got into it. It never put its hooks in me, like how, most fans of the show kind of feel about the show.
Yeah.
But I will, give it, it's an incredibly iconic show.
Yeah,
how many fucking Naruto wannabe shows are out there? How many ninja? Yeah,
not even ninja.
Yeah, not
even Jujutsu Kaisen is the same. It's same exact thing. To an extent, it's 3-man team, 2 guys, a girl, white-haired teacher, who's got this mysterious.
I thought it was the same guy, by the way. When I swear to God, when I first saw like clips of Jujutsu Kaisen, I was like, oh, is this like a carryover? Like, is the same guy from fucking Naruto?
Cameo in the show.
Is he cameoing? Because it's the same character. That's so funny.
It is. I mean, and then essentially that's, like we've already talked about off the air. There's only so many ideas that are going to come out before it's like a recycling of certain things within anime that you're going to see in every show.
Definitely.
And they've definitely met that years ago, but I wanted to go back to the whole thing about you saying it never got its hooks in you.
Yeah.
I can definitely understand why. 'Cause first, when did you start watching anime?
Probably like 10.
Yeah,
like,
okay, so around probably the same age as most people, but I feel like you starting out with like Evangelion and the things that you did, it was a much different journey for you because you're starting at like the high level, like the in-depth, the very complex, whereas, I was starting like Dragon Ball, Case Closed, like FMA, like Bleach, so some of those are still out there, but those are more introductory, and I feel like Dragon Ball was what like kind of put everybody on, but Naruto was what I feel like for the most part, being so iconic, got everybody really into it.
Yeah, it
that was
people
the first one. It was like of new times, new story, new themes, like all that shit. So it makes sense though.
It also has like a really slow build up too. Like Naruto does take time to get into, just because like the first few seasons are kind of like they're very childish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then like when it kicks off, you're already like invested in the characters, so it's like you can't really go back at that point.
No, it's good to see everything at that point too, because like you said, it does start off childish, whereas a lot of other shows tend to not do that. I mean, they have some like little forms of like childish things in there, but for the most part,
of comedic relief. Or
yeah. I mean, they do it more often, but everything else like really just kind of keeps its hold.
Yeah,
which I like.
Yeah, no, Evangelion is just a completely different anime. It's like serious from front to back, and it's right off the jump. It's just fucking insane.
Yeah, I think one of the things I feel like always keeps me coming back to Evangelion is there's this slow transition. It's only one season too, so you can potentially, if you're a psychopath like me, watch all of Evangelion in one day. You really can do that. Whereas you can't do that for a lot of other anime. You can kind of get the full product in like 1 or 2 sittings. Especially if you keep like a jug for urinating on the side so you don't have to get up like I do. That's really the best way to watch the show. But from that like first 3 or 4 episodes, I'll be honest, like when I first saw it, I really thought that it was going to be a typical mecha anime, and I just happened to like mecha anime, and that's why I kind of stuck with it.
For sure.
But after like episode 6 or 7, once it introduces everyone, because you kind of have to have this sort of campy, almost like childish introduction to like all the characters where they're kind of like fun little zany episodes. But then once they get that out of the way with, things start to get very dark very quickly, and it's like this cloud goes over the show that never really quite gets breaks up, and it only gets worse. And to me, that as a kid just blew my mind, that a show that presented itself one way could really be this deeper thing that has like so much more meaning to it. And that's kind of what I spent 10 years talking to you about this for hours and hours. I mean,
old master's thesis.
We're 20 years later and he's still always talking about it.
Still talking about because it defined for me so many like so many influences that I have with like making short films or just the type of films that I started liking all came from the format that Evangelion showed me, like the quick cut title cards, the slow panning of like holding on to a shot. There's a section
I didn't really noticed that, but you do have that in a lot of your work.
Yeah, and it's all from Evangelion. I mean, I will completely say I've been ripping off Evangelion for my entire life.
Just stay inspired by it, bro.
Yeah.
Ripping off sounds bad. Ripping off makes you sound like Drake. You're just inspired, bro.
Very true. But yeah, that's kind of why it's sort of more than an anime for me, but obviously that's my like personal opinion. But just even getting back to like animes that I'm not that big of a fan of, but we're still defining, like Naruto. Naruto is a defining anime. It set up the, serialized, like I'll even go so far as to say a show like Jujutsu Kaisen needs a show like Naruto to even exist, So I'd be the first to admit that. But for you, Davin, like what are some other kind of smaller animes that may not be in your like top 3, but were still kind of memorable to you?
Smaller animes, Gundam. I shouldn't say this, but Dragon Ball Z, that's like massive. And
Yeah, that's the one.
yeah, it is. But I never really got into Dragon Ball Z all that much. So for me, it's like it's up there. Like I need to like pay its respects and everything. But I don't know. It was just I preferred Naruto.
Yeah.
Why did
I have
you?
a lot of respect for One Piece.
One
too,
Piece,
but
okay.
It's just too massive. I can't really get into
That's
it.
the show, folks. Thank you very much. We are done. It's great to have you.
No, I mean we joke
We do
around.
the same with One Piece. We pay its respects. Like we give it its respects, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. Nothing is. So
Yeah, I mean, so aside from anime, then I mean, you're big into gaming. You know, we've
I
been.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've been gaming. I mean, you were better at gaming forever than I was. So I would a lot of the time just watch you play games. Like when we were at his house, I wouldn't even play. But what was
We have those little skirmishes in like Call of Duty too.
Yeah.
Like Halo maps. Because we didn't remember how long it took us to set up Xbox Live. Like we could not figure that out.
I feel you guys on that.
Yo.
We were just running split screen all day. Me and my brothers and my
my
boys.
God.
I feel that.
No,
big time.
I
No,
learned.
there was this one time like we were trying to figure it out and we were trying to connect it via Ethernet to like our router. And my mom comes into the room. There's like cables all over the house, and she's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
We like brought your TV. We like moved the TV that was like super heavy. It was one of those old tube TVs into another room, like so dangerous. We're like little kids, like moving all this like electronic equipment so haphazardly.
Yeah.
And she comes home, and was like, "What are you guys fucking doing?" Yeah, that was crazy. But I learned everything about like internet and like what like a fucking IP address is, what a fucking NAT error means, like all that stuff. That education came from trying to fucking set up Xbox Live. Like it's
Learn
crazy.
a lot, bro.
Yeah.
It's very teachable.
Yeah, no, it was even like I was thinking the other day, like what got me into getting good at like troubleshoot. You know, when your internet isn't working, there's like a resident person in the house that like deals with that. Like I was like, how did I become that person? And really, what it was when I got a PSP. PSP was the first. It was the first thing that had Wi-Fi. It was the first like piece of technology that I had that had Wi-Fi. So I used to see on PSP it was like World Wide Web. I was like, so there is a way I can get on the internet using this device. So I tried for like a whole summer to figure out what the fuck it was. I like went into like my big like tube fucking desktop and like went into like the fucking server settings. Had to figure out what my MAC address was so I could write the same like address into the PSP. Yeah, it was like actual fucking troubleshooting. Like if I could be a technical rep for fucking AT&T at this point. Yeah,
The funny thing about that is like because I remember I literally like exactly what you just said. Same thing with me. I remember as a kid after finally getting connected to the internet through my PSP, like you feel like you unlock the knowledge of the universe.
Yes.
It was just you're like, oh, I'm in.
Yes.
I'm never coming back.
Never coming back.
I'm in.
I used to hide under my like blanket because like if my parents walked in the room and I was like looking at something at night, they would take it. So I would hide under my blanket and I would go like on the internet. This is still like Gen 1 internet. So like there was a lot of pages that were just like text, script. So mostly what I was doing was looking up Evangelion lore to understand what the show. And that was like how I understood how to like surf the web for the first time. Like that it helped me understand like, fucking downloading like files off the internet. All of that came from just hooking up my PSP to the fucking World Wide Web.
Shout out Sony.
Yeah, shout out to Sony making consumer products
I
that
think they're making another one. Actually,
They are. It was insane.
I didn't really like that. I heard the PS Vita was kind of a fail.
It was because they didn't drop good titles on it, and it was crazy because the only flaw with the original PSP for me was the one analog. I always thought because PS2 was well established, and I was like, "There's no way they're gonna release this without a second analog." They did. The PS Vita came out and they fixed that, but they just did not have any iconic titles on it like the PSP did.
I remember playing fucking Coded Arms for the first time. Bro, when you had an FPS in your hand, like a handheld FPS, it was over. Like, there was no school being done. There was no homework.
No chores.
There's no math class. That was over with.
Never ending.
Yeah, and did you know that about Coded Arms?
Is that a Met game?
No, it's like FPS, like futuristic FPS that came out for the PSP.
Simulated shooter.
Really?
Well, I say simulated, but it's not really like a Miltech simulator. It's like you are inside of a matrix, and you're like jacked into this program, and you're going after like basically computer programs that are viruses.
Wow.
So like each level, you're trying to like clear it. But each level is different, and that point that Adam was trying to get to is like once you beat the game,
Mhm.
you're like trapped into that matrix and you can't get out. So it's just infinite.
So you
Dude,
just
that's
keep
nuts.
going, yeah. So like it'll do like 50 levels, you clear 50 of them, and then like the trick of the game is like you think you're about to get out, but then it like puts you in even deeper into the game, and it's like now you're never getting out. So it would have procedurally generated.
I was just about to say that
yeah,
it was like procedural generation
like
before
new-
it was actually a thing.
Yeah, like that's why when people were like, "Oh, No Man's Sky is," I was like,
Yeah.
"Fucking Coded Arms did that 10 years
Yeah.
ago." Yeah, so it was just like this endless maze that you would just. It was actually a pretty dark, like
Yeah, as a kid,
game.
maybe play. I was just,
Yeah.
like, literally when you guys were explaining that, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, dude, that would give you a midlife crisis as a kid.
Yeah.
Is it gonna end?
Yeah.
Is it end? Like, that's how I would have felt at least playing that. So
Yeah,
that sounds dope though. I mean, now that I'm older, that would probably be. I mean, I know how graphics are now, but that'd probably be fun to play. I feel like still.
It was a
to this day.
classic. It was
Yeah.
still a classic.
still classic. Absolutely.
Underrated, but
Absolutely. Yo, you guys remember the fucking discs that you would get for the PSP?
Yeah,
They were like-
it was the disc inside of the case.
Yeah.
that you had to put
And
inside
it would
the
have,
case
like-
all day.
It would have like a big warning, like "Do not take the actual
Yes.
disc out of the case; it will not work." Yeah, I remember I fucked that up so
Yeah,
many,
me too, 'cause
so
you
many
get
times.
that, and that's what you think. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
this is a protective holding for the disc because it was so small, and I was like, oh, I gotta take this out, right? I popped one open, and then I like opened the little back chute, and I'm like, something ain't going right here. And then I looked further, and I was like, don't take out of this.
Yeah,
Too late.
yeah, that shit was crazy.
Yeah.
what about you guys? What are some of your favorite games?
Oh, bro, like PSP games we're going because
Just in general? Yeah.
Oh man, I mean we grew up. I grew up with two other brothers, so you know it was the thing of sharing all the video games. That didn't really falter our what's it called, our passion for gaming. Like we all loved it just as much, but so many titles. Where I mean, the best experience I had, I'll give you, was like probably like Halo 3 days.
Oh my god.
Because me and my brothers, we were like, I'm telling you, like he was saying, coming home playing for hours and hours. That was literally, come home from school, I would rush through my homework. Didn't even know what the fuck I was doing in my homework at the time. I told my mom, like, yeah, I'm done. Are you sure it's done? Yeah. The rest of the day was Halo 3, Call of Duty, like all those kind of games.
That was all I did.
Loved it, bro. It was just such a good experience at the time. And that was also the same time, you know, all your friends are doing that. It's not just you. Like, now, go get on Call of Duty, it's just me. It's like, all right, yeah, it's kind of fun. But those days, the absolute best.
We would play
There was
social.
nothing like it.
Yeah, we'd play social big team like on
Yes.
LAN, like
All
not
day.
even.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
used to do that here. We used to fucking next door neighbor here, this neighbor across the street, like some of my cousins. Everybody had an Xbox.
yeah.
So they'd all come bring their Xboxes. We would literally be in this garage, set up the tables and wait so nobody could stream look.
Yeah,
And then we'd all just play LAN, like five deep, playing LAN out here for like 7-8 hours straight. We'd hit the store, grab like 2 12-packs of Game Fuel, a whole bunch of snacks. Just be out here, bro. Just having the time of our
Pizza.
lives.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. Some pizza. Little Caesars was the GOAT then.
Do you
No, I
remember?
just wish like I grew up in a time where I could have experienced the first Halo on a LAN server. 'Cause I
Oh,
only really
man.
got like Halo 2 and Halo 3.
I
Really
got
Halo
to
3.
experience the first Halo through my oldest brother and my uncle, because I don't know if you guys remember this, and I don't know if this is a myth at the time. I feel like it wasn't, but the vivid core memory I have of Halo was there was somebody put out like a statement saying that the creators at Bungie said that the first people to have physical proof of them beating the game on Legendary, which was the hardest difficulty
Yeah.
at the time. I think it was specifically the mission with the Flood.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
little
The
like
flood
alien
mission,
things
yeah.
that were just going crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you either had to do it without dying. I think that was the case. They were offering like a $25,000 cash bonus. at the time.
Holy shit.
But I was like, how you can lie about that?
Yeah, you
How
could.
you gonna check my settings after I beat the mission?
Right.
That mission on easy.
Right. Yo, I remember you would play Halo with all the skulls activated
Yeah.
and on Legendary where it was just impossible.
hard.
Yeah,
It was
because the
impossible.
skulls were no joke, bro. Like they would just make it that much harder. And I was like, what the fuck can I do?
Yeah, no, that shit was crazy. I was never that good at Halo, but I loved playing it with people. Like
Yeah.
that was, for me, it was such a community game. But also, Gears of War was very
Oh,
much
man.
like
That
what I
was
think
definitely up there,
when
yeah.
you were talking about like LAN parties, like that's definitely what we would do with
We never
Gears.
did that, man. I'm mad we never were able to, because the only people at the time that were playing Gears of War, at least within my circle or my people, was like my brother, one of my cousins, and then a couple of my brother's boys. Like me, none of my friends. We never played Gears because, well, for one, you know, oldest brother gets dibs on the fucking console. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right.
That was part of it, but the other reason why was, you know, I was never that good at Gears until I had my own Xbox. That's when I got good, and that's like, we're talking about the time Part 3 was coming out. like then, so it was like way later in the franchise. But still, Gears is also a very, very goated game series. Gears of War.
So goated.
Change gaming.
It definitely changed gaming because I remember my first experience seeing a next gen console or like a next gen graphics experience was actually at Davin's house. You called me, you were like, yo, I got the Xbox 360, I have Gears, I'm about to play it, you need to come over. So I flew there. I literally jumped up and flew there and chartered a plane and got there. And I remember walking up your stairs and turning the corner into your bedroom and seeing the scales on the locust's back as you were running through Gridlock. And I was like, is that a fucking cutscene? You were like, nah, man, that's in game.
That's what we thought too. Like the only thing comparable at that time to me was like the Final Fantasy cutscenes.
Yeah, right.
And I remember even as kids, we would always say, you know, I wish that's how the graphics of the game were. I can't wait till we see that. And Gears was the one.
Yeah.
My brother got the same thing. He put it on, and I'm like, you're playing right now?
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way. He's like, yeah, bro, this is the game. I tried it, and I was just like, I was in shock, bro. I couldn't even like. I didn't even want to try the game out. I was like, let me just watch this.
Let me just look at it. Yeah, 100%. And like just rushing, like running with your gun was just so fun in that game because it gave you that like camera shake, and it was just unlike anything we'd ever seen in gaming before. And that's kind of what when I think about getting new gen consoles now, new game releases, I do compare it to that time, and I have not been wowed like that since the jump from like original Xbox to 360. That was like the only time in my life where I can say I was fully satisfied with like a game release, console launch, everything was perfect back then. But I don't know, I mean, how did you guys feel about that back then?
I'm with you on that. I mean, I feel like because so much content has like been released through gaming and so many different publishers, new companies just come and they already have their hands on that technology, but we're in a time now where like that was only what's it called? Epic Games had that.
Yeah.
Nobody else had that. So I feel like it's a little numbing now because it's not that these games don't look good, because they of course look phenomenal. They look good. But it's the all around factor that there is no wowing now. Because what are they going to do different?
Yeah, but you know they did show some of the new like things that they're making with the new Unreal 5 engine.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've seen some of the horror games that they're about to make that seem completely impossible to play, bro. Even the trailers were too scary. I was like, I'm not playing that shit. That's too fucking crazy.
That's another thing, bro. Some of the horror games have really stepped up as well.
Tell this story now that we have a bigger platform. I want you to tell this story about the Silent Hill game.
That's exactly what I was getting to. So look, have you, Davin, since I've already told Adam about this, you ever heard of it's a playable teaser. It was literally called PT, stood for playable teaser. It was on the PlayStation 4, and it was what was supposed to become the new Silent Hill entry. The dude Hideo Kojima, the one that makes the Metal Gear series, right. He was behind it, right? So keep in mind, he was never had his hands on a horror title. He was always so busy with Metal Gear, which phenomenal. But so when it came out and we realized he was making it, I was excited because I was like, damn, what can this guy cook up? Still to this day, that would have been the greatest horror game ever made. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. That would have blew that shit out the water. It was like the demo was basically just this looped house, right? Mm-hmm. And it was like you'd wake up in this random ass room, look around, there's nothing in the room, there's like a light flickering, you open a door, the door leads down to this hallway. So you go to the hallway, it's like raining, thunderstorming out at night. You can only see so much in your view, and then you walk past the phone rings. You answer it, and it's like this weird ass message line. And you're like, what the fuck? So you're like progressing through the house. Now, there's not much of the house to progress through. You literally hit this hallway, hit a right, there's a bathroom, another door, and upstairs that you can't access. The door to leave outside the house, you can't open it. You start walking. As soon as you hit the corner, you start hearing this noise behind you, this like weird ass breathing. You turn around, it's this girl just all the way down the hallway, just sitting there shaking, and it's like, okay, I'm not going that way. So you walk away, you open the door to the bathroom, you start hearing it again. You can move the shower curtain, you move it, nothing's in there. And you're like, what the fuck? You can look into the mirror. Now, the mirror does not show your character, but if you look in the mirror at this one angle, it starts to show this body from behind you, like slowly creep out, but you turn around, nothing's there.
Yikes.
And it's like a continuous loop of all these different encounters you can get, but look up trailers on them whenever you get some time. Look up a trailer.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, but the other
also,
yeah.
Sorry, not to cut you off.
No, yeah.
Right now, if you have a PlayStation 4 still, because you can still have it on there, you just can't download it. It's like what they did with Flappy Bird on the iPhone. Can't download it no more. But if you had one, people were selling their Xboxes for like or PlayStation for like 4,000 or 5,000 with just that game on. Because people wanted it.
Yeah, it's like a rare like game to have because you can't get it anywhere else anymore. So you either have to have it downloaded or like there's nowhere to get it.
You can't even get it on like an emulator.
You can probably emulate it. Actually, probably not. No, because they were very quick to scrap that off of wherever anybody was playing, and I don't remember people playing that on emulators at the time. I'm sure it's doable. You can probably still get it somehow. You could probably super downgrade your fucking PlayStation 4, access the store at that time. It's probably a whole bunch of steps, but you might be able to still get it.
If you can't get it on an emulator, then that's like really
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a serious level of awareness. But yeah, what was the Resident Evil? I guess it was one of the new ones, but like there was a particular scene where the character's like walking through a house, and then there's like these characters these like scary things that are entities that are like moving.
Yeah.
But they freeze as soon as you shine a light on them, and so you're like backing up, creeping, but like
the mannequins.
Yeah, the mannequins.
Yeah,
bro,
that shit is nuts. It's nuts. Have you ever seen a Silent Hill movie?
No, I haven't seen the Silent Hill.
You've seen I Am Legend?
Yeah.
Remember the scene when Will Smith is inside of the bank? I think he's in a bank, and like it's completely pitch black in there, and he's got his light. He's got to progress through there because I think he gets like knocked out. Something happens where he wakes up in there and he doesn't know how to get right back out.
Yeah,
and he's like got the light covered, and then he like quickly flashes it, puts his hand back, and they're like all standing there huddled over.
Yeah.
You've seen in a Silent Hill movie like that where it's like they won't move until they hear movement or hear sound, and that's kind of like what he's talking about. There's literally this it's a DLC in Resident Evil. You're in this house, right? And it's like as soon as you look away from the mannequin, they start closing in on you. Quick, like the most distorted, fucked up movements you would ever think to see.
Holy shit.
But as soon as you turn around and look at them, they
freeze
in place. No matter what movement they're in, they'll stop. If their legs up, they're like, just sit there.
It's one of like the coolest game mechanics I've ever seen too.
Really?
It was just executed really well.
Yeah, they did it very good. Like if they made a movie with something like that as a scene, it would be awesome. It'd be so good.
So what are some like good survival games besides
Alien Isolation?
What's that?
I stand behind that one. It's so fucking good.
From the Alien movie franchise, but
so you're Ripley's daughter goes back to not the Ishimura, I'm thinking Dead Space, but she goes back to the like search for her mom.
Yeah.
And she's with like a small team. Then like of course like tragedy happens. She's like stuck on the ship and she's like trying to survive the whole ordeal and like escape. But what's really cool about that game is they executed AI so well.
Really?
So the alien will like adapt to your play style as you're progressing through the game, and it's indestructible. Like you can't do anything with it. It's like the ultimate boss. You can't do anything about it, so you can only hide. But like it'll start to pick up on how you're doing that. There's some really intense moments in that game.
That could become scary too, bro, because it's like it's almost like they're in your head. That's literally what it is. They're getting into your head to know. Okay, well he did this X amount of times last time, so let's check here first, and then odds are you're probably there.
But it's also like that really creepy idea that something that's inhuman could be as smart or smarter than you. Yep. And I think that's like a really great horror trick that I think the Alien franchise is actually very good at doing, because you can't communicate with an alien. It's not going, "Wahaha, I'm an evil alien." It's not. It's a monster. It's a legit like animal, but it has an intelligence. It has an ability to outsmart you that I think is one of the scariest aspects of it. Not to mention that like what worse way would there be to die than an alien killing you?
That spits acid out of its mouth. Has a second mouth that literally just eats your guts.
So fucked up.
Way faster, way stronger than you. Like, fuck that. Dude.
Or getting straight kidnapped.
And you're in fucking space. So what are you gonna do? Like, shit, at least if I'm at home, like, hopefully I can get in my car and ride away. Cool. And no, you're in space, like, you can't exceed this boundary right here. You have to live within this.
I think my favorite survival horror is definitely Dead Space.
Yeah, Dead Space is amazing.
Dead Space, the first Dead Space, I mean, the last half of it was really depressing and dark and lonely. It was one of the most lonely. You really felt like you were the only person in that like world of the game, and like and there's just a feeling of truly being helpless.
Yeah.
Like, but then you upgrade your guy. Once you start having like really good like weapons and armor, then you can really like go against the aliens. So
You have your confidence back.
so it empowers you in a weird way, but it's still so defeating. It's so I don't know how to describe it. Like no other games gave me that atmosphere.
No, you're right.
You know?
And so like when my first experience with Dead Space was coming fresh off of like I said, I still am. I'm a huge Resident Evil 4 fan. It's my favorite game in the franchise. When I first seen the trailers for Dead Space, it reminded me of that. It was like the over the shoulder third person aim then shoot, like all that. So I was like, oh, this is right up my alley.
Yeah.
Started playing it and I'm like, dude, this is a completely different beast here. Like that was still to this day one of the only games I actually got like a jump scare from. Like an actual like, I'm sitting here with my controller in hand, I'm like, oh shit, like pause it and set the controller down for a second. I'm like, fuck, this is how this game's about to be. I was like, I don't know about this, but that aspect that you just mentioned hit me so hard of the being lonely thing, because in Resident Evil you don't really get that.
Yeah.
Like it's much easier to come across like your upgrades, your ammo, your health finds, all that. When I was playing Dead Space, it was just so much different. Like it would literally break you down while playing.
Yes.
You're like, damn, I can't do this.
Yeah, I can't go on.
Not
literally
even because it's scary.
No.
Because of how the game is like how you have to play. It's like, dude, fuck this. And that happened to me at one point. I stopped playing it because I was like, I can't do nothing.
Yeah,
That's
it was.
how I feel with gosh, what is that game where you're like an investigative reporter? You're in this like insane asylum, and you only have like a camcorder. You have to recharge.
Fuck Outlast.
I can't play that game. Like,
Really?
too bad.
It's fucked, dude.
I've never.
You're constantly being chased through every hallway,
never
every corridor, whatever building you're in, and it's literally nonstop. And I've seen so many clips where I'm watching it, I'm playing it. I'm like, yeah, you got it. You're about to escape. Nah,
No.
You're running. You're thinking, oh, the dudes are behind me. Cool, I'm home free. You're running through these like fucking this tall grass, and then some dude just steps out. Nope, get your ass back. And, like, you just die
Holy
and
shit!
you restart. It's insane.
Damn, I haven't heard of that one. Were there any other like Xbox releases that were like memorable to you that were in that genre, or those
like
kind of
horror
horror?
games?
Yeah.
Condemned.
Yes,
Condemned.
Condemned. Yeah, Condemned was serious.
Another one I couldn't finish.
Yeah, I couldn't finish it. Condemned was just too grisly. It was just
Yeah,
too.
at the time,
Yeah, that was too adult. That's an M-rated. Like
You should've been.
Didn't that take
yeah.
place in Detroit?
I think it might have.
You're right.
Condemned.
I think about it.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah,
Fear is another.
Fear. Yeah, I never played Fear, but I heard it was good.
There's only so many games that leave an imprint on in my brain of like very specific scenes, and there was this one scene. I think the main like scary ghost entity person you're coming across, if I'm not mistaken, is your daughter in the game.
Yeah.
Which already makes it fucked up.
Yeah,
while
that's
playing throughout the game.
yeah.
But there's this one scene where you're walking in this hallway. There's no doors, no windows in the hallway. There's like blood on the floor.
Mm.
Basic horror style setup for a hallway.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you're walking through, the lights start flickering. It's like normal shit you think's gonna happen, right? Like, oh, okay, something's probably gonna pop up. Maybe not. You're walking through, and then you just hear this like little girl laugh. Her voice starts talking, and then it like cuts to straight black, right? And then the lights turn back on. Nothing's there.
Yeah.
You're thinking there's no way it's not going to be here.
Yeah.
Right? So you're walking, and then it cuts off again and on, but way quicker this time.
Yeah.
And then she's literally just upside down on the ceiling, just staring at you. I literally like tossed the controller. I can't do this, guys.
Speaking of
Fear had some moments.
Yeah, speaking of moments where you had to just stop, I was thinking about like what stopped me in Condemned. There's like a whole sequence in Condemned where like you're actually starting to like get good, like you're clearing houses, you're like actually like getting the hang of the game, and then it's like the third or fourth boss is literally like a clown with like chainsaws like jumping around like, and I just turned, I was like, no, I'm good.
That's not for me.
Yeah, I was like, I think I've had enough of this game. It was just too intense. I was like, because I finally like felt like I had some confidence. Like I was running and gunning. Then you just walk into this like big room, and then this like fucking clown on stilts with like chainsaws for hands comes like climbing down off a rafter, and I'm like, that's enough of that game.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I really like about horror games. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
But it's like not many other genres can really capture the sense of like challenge and like overcoming something. Like, that's what seems like an impossible obstacle. Because I certainly don't get that with Call of Duty.
No.
Halo was really for like mystery, I think.
Yeah.
Because they did a really good job at capturing that and story. But horror games are just like, man, I don't know when this is gonna end or if I'm gonna make it through it. But when you do, it's like, okay, I feel like I really like went through something.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite title that fits that description was Dead Rising, bro. Because when Dead Rising first dropped, that was the first horror zombie game of its own. Like at that time, no other games had like you're stuck in a fucking mega mall.
Yeah.
No other games had like massive hordes of zombies just at all times around. And the clown thing that you just mentioned reminded me of it because the first boss you fight is a fucking clown with chainsaws.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Capcom makes Dead Rising. They have this very very likable sense of mystery in their games. Not necessarily within the story, but within your findings throughout the game. Right. So we used to put hours in Dead Rising. Not until I was an adult that I know there was so many hidden items just laying around in the game that unless you kind of knew about it or had a walkthrough, you would have never found on your first 5 playthroughs. Like the first boss, the guns are the things you want in Dead Rising. That's you're one-shotting, whatever. There's this one specific area right before the first boss. You can climb up on top of this rafter, and there's literally just a pistol sitting on there with ammo. Yeah. And my mind as an adult was blown because I'm like, dude, we fucking died 30 times at this boss because of the weapons we had. We could have just came here, found a pistol, boom, we're good.
Yeah.
But no, Dead Rising was one of those for sure.
Dead Rising was really fun. Left 4 Dead.
I love Left 4 Dead.
Especially on the hardest mode, playing with like 4 people. Because if something goes wrong,
you're done. Yeah, no, that's one of the best like multiplayer experiences I had as well. Was Left 4 Dead for sure.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? Multiplayer. I was just thinking, like, it's not really a horror game, but like a multiplayer experience that I really wish there was a game like this. And I know people say Paydays like this, but Kane and Lynch 2 had one of the coolest fucking multiplayer like events you could do. It was like a bank robbery. Mm-hmm. You could choose your guns and all that shit. And you could either like just go in and running and gunning, or you could like, try to be more tactical with it. Anytime me and Davin would play, we would just kill every single person 100%. In there and just take the money. But it was super fucking like immersive because they had this really cool motion graphic or whatever where like if you were running, it was almost like the game was shot as if there was a guy with a camcorder following you the whole time. Dude, one of the coolest like fucking like gaming experiences ever because if you're getting shot at, like the camera will start getting like fuzzy and shit. So cool, man. So
Did you guys ever play Army of Two?
Yeah.
That's what I like. I've never played Kane and Lynch 2. My brothers told me multiple times how good that game is as well.
Yeah.
It means a lot. Or makes a lot of sense because you and them have
very
similar tastes when it comes to games. But that's what I always thought of whenever I seen like Payday or Kane and Lynch was like not the same exact thing, but it's very similar. It's 2 guys. You're going in heist, fucking shit up, and that's my comparison.
Yeah, it's just like I miss games that have like creative like aspects to them. And I think that's why I really liked Elden Ring because it was so unlike any game I'd ever played. Love like it. I've been telling Davin to get it because it's not like anything else. Like it's got its own rules, it's got its own way to progress, and it's got its own like physical language in the game. Like you have to learn how to block attacks a certain way. It's not like a game where you can just I have a super great weapon and I'm just gonna hack. It's not a hack and slash. It's so strategic.
Sounds like learning a language or something.
Yes.
Specifically with Elden Ring, it is because George R. Martin, the creator of like the Game of Thrones series, he has a very heavy hand in the addition of this game and the contribution. So he made up the majority of the lore and all that. When you play it, bro, it's amazing. Here, one more thing I want to say about it because I can literally go for the next 50 episodes we can talk about this game. When I was first trying to get Adam to play it, Adam was telling me about all the kind of games he likes. He was telling me like Battlefield, racing games, and then all the classic games, he was telling me about. So I'm always wary to tell people to go try any of the From Software games. That's who makes it because I didn't get into the games until like one of their 3rd installments of the original series. And even me at first, I was like, dude, what the fuck am I playing right now? Like, it literally takes you through the emotions. So when he got it and told me how much he liked it, dude, I felt like a kid on Christmas. Like I couldn't wait to hear his opinion of the game and for me to find out that he loved it probably as much as I do. I was like, dude, that's all I needed to do.
And I'm not good at that game, by the way. Like, it's so fucking hard. But it was probably the only game I've played recently. Like, I mean, recently is in the last 10 years where I stopped everything I was doing and just played it for like 2-3 like days, just wanting to get further and further, wanting to like unlock the story and understand the world. The lore is so deep. It's very. I will say this. It's very Evangelion-esque in the way that the story is like there's this front facing part of the story, and then there's this really deep backdrop that like you learn as you go through the story, and it's got its own universe, its own
Yeah, I mean, I saw
rules.
a YouTube video popped up on the algorithm. It was like literally a 9-hour video
Mhm.
talking about like Elden Ring story explained.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, Jesus.
And that's them. That's literally them
9
explaining
hours.
the story, like the main story. There's like optional things and side bosses where if you really dove deep, you could be watching videos for days of them explaining every little thing. It's so
if
good.
it's anything like Skyrim, I'll probably love it, because that was one thing that Skyrim did really well. Was I mean, obviously like the Elder Ring, what is it called? Elder Scrolls series. It's already a franchise,
Yeah.
so they've built up lore over
Mhm.
time. But isn't Elden Ring also connected with like Bloodborne
And Dark Souls. Yeah.
Is that like the same world?
So Bloodborne is the only one. I'm sorry, Bloodborne and Sekiro, the samurai game they also made. If I'm not mistaken, those two are within their own separate worlds. But the Dark Souls games, Demon Souls, and then Elden Ring, it's like they don't make any connections to the past titles, but it's the same thing. It is the same combat style. The name that you're given. What do they call you in Elden Ring? Do you remember? It's the Ashen one.
Yeah.
Or that might be Dark Souls actually.
No, it's like the not disgraced. It's like the fuck. Well,
It might be. Regardless of what it is, like even like the titles that they give your character, the way that they talk in the game, it is the exact same as Dark Souls, but it's times 10. Way bigger world. This is the first true open world one. Most bosses, highest weapon choice, like all that, and they just really took it over the top, and it literally blew them right into the scene of video games. Like this was their breakthrough, and it was insane. It won Game of the Year. The year it came out, it won Game of the Year over God of War and everything else.
Definitely deserved Game of the Year. Yeah, that's the game.
Yeah,
like yeah,
because there's games that get that title now that it's like,
yeah,
okay, I understand because of what else came out.
Modern Warfare 3.
Nah, bro, that's just trash, bro.
Game of the Year.
Oh God! And you're gonna see all those sycophants like at E3 being like, "Guys, this is the greatest video game." Just these fucking corporate nothings like telling you they probably never played the game. They're just talking about how great the new like $70 DLC is gonna
Their
be.
fucking favorite streamer plays it daily. That's why they know about it.
Exactly.
Play the game.
Well, you see that too. Like even with the commercials that they were using to promote the game, it was like nothing but streamers playing it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a real commercial.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And then it won't be anymore. And it's kind of sad because, like, back in the day, you're just literally, if a commercial's coming out, it's strictly about the game. It's not, oh, well, this guy makes us money, let's make him money and put him in a commercial. Let's let the fans get what they want.
Well, that's really disappointing too, because Call of Duty back in the day had some of the most impressive commercials for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Modern Warfare 2, like the original Modern Warfare 2, with what was it, like Eminem, one of Eminem's song in the background.
Till I Collapse.
Yeah, it's like that was an epic.
It was
actually.
awesome, bro. Seeing that, it was like. So, like those commercials, if you didn't have the game or weren't playing it, those would make you want to go play the game. Now it's
That
like
you wanted to wait out line on like
I used to.
outside
I
the
released.
store.
Yeah, we used to do that shit.
No, that was actually those were the fun days where you would actually wait like at the GameStop at 11:59. They'd have them all open just for that.
Yeah.
Like that
Could
shit
be
was-
inside playing
Yeah.
and then like the last half hour, they're like, all right, everybody get out. You gotta wait now.
Yeah.
What were some of the other like more classic video game trailers that you guys can recall?
I mean, the greatest one of all time was Simple and Clean. The fucking
Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts, the original Kingdom
Oh,
Hearts
damn.
trailer was
Oh, damn.
better than any movie. It was better than Titanic. It was better than every movie trailer ever made. It was like, you were seeing something that looked like Final Fantasy, but then there were Disney characters in it. And like, if you were to tell me that just on paper, I'd be like, no, of course I'm not gonna like
Super
that.
ballsy.
But then you fucking see it actually happening, and you're like, I have to go play this. I have to be a part of this story. It was so beautiful. It was like I get shivers just thinking about like seeing that for the first time.
Man, Kingdom Hearts is just one of the greatest games of all time.
Easily, bro. We've had multiple episodes talking about that shit. Like, we can't get away from it. And it's been years since I've played Kingdom Hearts, any of them. What a letdown 3 was, but 1 and 2, God, man, I need to just go buy a PlayStation again. Unless they have them remastered, honestly.
Yeah, no, I
They
mean,
do, you can get them on Xbox.
yeah, you can get them on Xbox. Yeah,
But I gotta play through them because I would still play that game to this day.
yeah.
Honestly, like it's literally that good.
You can get all of them, like even the little one-offs with like the 1.3.
Yeah.
Because they're all like bundled together in this one like game that you download. So you open it up and then you can choose like which one you want to start
I
playing.
gotta do that then, because
Yeah.
I will be honest, I have been fiending for that old school nostalgic feel.
Mhm.
Yeah, because don't get me wrong, there's like he said, Elden Ring. There's a few games I could definitely have on my list of my best, but even Elden Ring, as much as I liked it, as dedicated to it as I was, no games for the longest time have given me that feel from that, and none will. Let's be real here. I mean, I know I'm not a kid anymore.
Yeah, but no, but the truth is like Elden Ring. That's what I was saying. Is like that was the only game that I got that feeling just
Yeah.
for a little bit
Yeah.
of like wonder and excitement and like, wow, what's this next part of the story gonna be? You
Mhm.
know, whereas like I feel like with a lot of newer games, it's like a job. It's like let me just finish this. So I
Yeah,
can
because
talk
I'm this
about it.
far in.
Yeah, or it's just so that I can talk about it with my friends and like
Yeah.
know what they're talking about. But it's not you're not actually enjoying it. Whereas Elden Ring just puts you in this totally other world that's so unique, and I could just talk about it forever, like Dom.
Yeah,
But
literally.
but Kingdom Hearts had that on the regular. You know,
Mhm.
like that was Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 were just bangers, like
Yeah, front
bangers.
to back.
Yeah, literally, bro. And like
And the secret bosses, like
Oh
when you
my
can
God,
beat
dude.
Sephiroth.
that's still to this day one of the hardest boss fights that I've ever played in the game was Sephiroth, because you literally like that was one of those boss fights where if you can mess up like once, twice, like on your roll, on your dodge, whatever, that's all they're giving you. A lot of these other games, you got 150 different ways to beat the boss now. It's like, oh, sweet. It doesn't, you don't feel as accomplished. Elden Ring is the exception, but a lot of other games, the boss, you don't feel that same level of accomplishment for sure.
Elden Ring will be like, oh wait, you rolled the wrong way.
Yeah, oh,
Time
you're
to
dead.
restart this whole fucking
Yeah,
boss
this
battle.
is the most punishing, Davin. If you play it, bro, it is the most punishing game I've ever
Pretty
played.
much sold. I want to try it now. It was just like the thing that was really holding me back was mostly work.
Yeah,
So,
oh, yeah.
I don't really feel like I have the time to invest into this right now because I know it's going to be such an endeavor.
It is.
But when everything's all said and done,
Yeah,
Yeah.
wait till the holiday, bro. They'll probably have
Yeah.
it on sale.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, I think we're at our hour. No, we're not.
Yeah,
Okay.
about 15, I
Oh,
think.
dope.
So,
So yeah, man. I guess now when we talk music, movies,
we had the intro to Davin.
we
I was
got
gonna
the
say
intro.
game trailers still, but
Yeah, game
a few
trailers.
other ones.
All right, yeah, let's keep going with game trailers. Let me think about. I'm trying to think of like an actual like memory of a game trailer.
Oh, I have some, bro. I mean, one of the games that had me on lock at that time was, and I don't care if I get hate for this, because this was one of my favorite, was fucking the Ratchet and Clank series.
Oh,
on
for
PlayStation.
sure, absolutely.
Those games literally had me in the chokehold, and I was nonstop playing those games. Nothing else was entering my PlayStation but that game. Like I made it a task to make sure I completed the game, found all the little corkscrews or whatever the pieces are that you need to upgrade, and like got every suit, every weapon, maxed everything out. And I was like, dude, I was still playing it afterwards.
Yeah. No, I had the similar experience with Ratchet and Clank 3. Like that game had so much to do, and it was really the first. I would say that was probably one of the first games that I completed like all the way. Like you said, like maxed out everything, because it just gave you so much satisfaction. Like as a young kid, and it really did have like almost like that RPG element where you could continue to build stuff, and it was simplified enough that it was like accessible.
We can still play it at that age.
Yeah, at that age.
Any problems, and that speaks a lot, man. You can have a game that's still so good all around, but so many different age groups can actually access it and have a similar, if not the same, experience. That's a good game. That's
Definitely.
all that stands at. But what else? You guys ever play the Resistance series on PlayStation?
Resistance
Fall of Man.
I never played that. No.
So basically, at the time, like, I know it's a lot different now, but at that time, you know how like Sony's ahead, like drastically with exclusives on their console.
Yeah,
now?
Absolutely.
At the time, Xbox was shitting on them because they had no answer for Halo. There was nothing that Sony had to answer for Halo.
Yeah.
Or Gears, yeah. Resistance was the closest they had to an answer because, I was a Halo guy at the time. I played Resistance on the PlayStation 3 and I was taken away. It was so good. It was like it's an FPS, and it definitely has like war vibes, but you're fighting against these like mutated aliens. They almost look like
zombies almost.
No, not like a zombie. You ever seen District 9?
Yeah.
That's kind of what reminded me of Resistance when District 9 came out. That's kind of similar to how these beings are. They're like, they have like human intelligence, but they still have the bodies and the physique of shit you've never seen and never will see in your life.
Right. I think Resistance was one of the first games that had like 60 versus 60 multiplayer, where they had like very big maps, like
huge.
Even before Battlefield, they were like doing that. Yeah, that's the one thing I remember hearing about that game. For me though, the exclusive I always wanted to play was Killzone. I always wanted.
No, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Killzone is what I meant. Killzone was the answer to Halo. You're right, because I played a lot of Killzone as well. Killzone is goated.
Yeah, that game looked fucking amazing. You remember? What was that game we used to play all the time, Davin? That one FPS that had it was only story mode. There was no multiplayer, and it was like. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's you can like control time, or something like that.
What's this one we talking about? Because
This was like original Xbox.
There's one. You saying controlling time made me think of a game, but I doubt it's this. There was this game called PsyOps, and you were literally a telekinetic, but you could do all this different shit. Like you could freeze time, you could like use telekinesis, move things around from. You had guns at the same time. You were just like this complete super soldier of what, like, you're literally taking out an army by yourself.
Damn, I wish I could remember.
I feel like I know what you're talking about, but
well, you used to
like
play
Time Shift or
something like that. Actually, the first game that I ever played that had the cover mechanics that are in every video game now is Kill Switch. Did you guys ever play Kill Switch? Yo, Kill Switch had one of the coolest fucking like experiences because you had to just go from cover to cover. Yeah. It was the first time I'd ever played a game like that, and like you had so many different guns, and like it was super hard because if you weren't in cover, you get killed immediately.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah, so ahead of its time.
Nothing was like that.
Super fast paced. It was crazy. Yeah, that was a good one.
Well, Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
Vegas 2.
Yeah, Vegas 2.
That's one of my favorite shooters. Vegas 2. Oh my god, dude, that was one of the only FPSs I could play in like a single player, like not online match with bots and have that much fun. Like me and my brother would literally, Terrorist Hunt. We'd literally get in a match, put all the bots highest level, and just for hours play that shit. Love that
and
shit.
Just sweep the room.
Yeah,
that game was that's a very
door
good
to door.
And like it had such a punishing like death mechanic. Like if you got killed, it would just cut to black.
Yeah,
like it was just so like jarring.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you would like creep around a door or something and just get your head blown and just go straight to black.
Yeah,
that was dark.
We need a remaster of that exact game.
I swear, like where is that? Where is Vegas 2? The new
Extraction
Siege is not that good. Bro. Siege is not good.
Terrible. That game was awful, yo. I played it for like three solid weeks. It was one of the only like new Xbox like games that came out when Xbox had first came out, the Xbox One, and like it was fun to play with a couple of friends. But like when you think about how customizable the old Rainbow Sixes were, like why would you take that part of the game out? Because it was always fun to like make your guy have like the coolest gear and have like custom like camos and shit, and then now you have like pre-selected characters. It was just dumb.
It's more like Fortress than like a traditional Rainbow Six game.
Fortress,
very much like an arcade shooter. Now what would be cool is if they just made that like a standalone sort of like game type,
right?
And kept with the model of like the old Rainbow Six.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
My biggest disappointment was when the Siege trailers were coming out. That's like I finally thought that this is the new gen Rainbow Six that we've been waiting on. This is gonna be like Vegas, and I get it. Like the Terrorist Hunt in that, it's nothing like Vegas was, bro. It's like, I respect the drive and the image they had, which was like, there's no more tactical game than Rainbow Six. If you're playing specifically for online, and I respect that because it definitely moved its way into its own little realm out of the other FPS.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it didn't click for me, and I was like, damn, I can't even play this shit, bro.
Yeah, it really didn't click for me either. But that made me think of another Tom Clancy game that I spent a lot of time on. Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter.
Yeah.
Yo, Graw and Graw 2, I used to run that online all fucking day long, man. Like that was
the first one where they had like the invisibility camo and all that crazy super high tech shit. That game was amazing.
And like also they had Terrorist Hunt in that where you could play with 16 people on your team, and you could set the setting to like infinite terrorists, so you're just in there like playing with like other guys, and eventually you're all gonna die. It's just gonna happen, but you just be all pinned down and be like 3 people left, and just be like everybody else is just dead. You have like 2 bullets left, and you just see them coming around the hill. It's just like you just get the grenade, you're like, all right guys, they're not taking us alive. They're just blowing yourself up.
That's
was incredible.
That shit was so much fun. So much fun.
Definitely be remastered.
Yeah, that would be. And there were so many guns.
Fucking Call of Duties, man.
Yeah.
You and me both, bro. And I'm a fucking Call of Duty addict, bro. But I feel you.
But yeah, man. But yeah,
in closing, I do have a little piece I want to add to this before we go. So, a couple weeks ago, I had my little time frame where I was talking about the Jujutsu Kaisen episodes and how good they were.
Yeah.
So there was a few episodes I haven't talked about. I'm not gonna bring those up this time because the newest episode just dropped Thursday. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow is my first word I will say. Now, everything I said from before in the last clip holds true to this one as well, but for my anime watch of Jujutsu Kaisen, I really want to pinpoint, pay attention to what happens in this episode, for one. Pay attention to what you're seeing because it is going to get brought back to the series in probably the biggest way anything's been brought back. But outside of that, the drop in the introduction to this, without giving too much away, one of the characters reveals another part of his power that you've already seen 4 to 5 of right now. And they've been cool. They've been like a little strong. They've been like menacing. It is good to see. But this one, this is that one. This is that one that really steals the fucking show in a way that only 2 other characters throughout this whole series have done, being Gojo and Sukuna. Nothing else right now that you've seen is going to top this. And I feel like people need to go check this out because, like I said, bro, I give it mad props, give it all of its dues. But this is now the turning point of the season, which for me, I've told you this. I haven't told you this. I've already read up to date. I'm up to date on the show right now. I've already known in my mind what's happening, what's coming, everything. This show, to watch it and still get that same first time see reaction that I'm getting, blew my mind. It like really cemented itself for me. Adam will say otherwise. It really cemented itself as an anime for me because there's almost no other show I can say has done the same thing, but this right here took the cake. I'm talking the most pure savagery you've seen of anybody so far. Mind blowing, and I go fucking watch Jujutsu Kaisen season 2.
We're gonna do a whole Jujutsu Kaisen episode. Yes, I think we should definitely do it.
Bro, it'll take over. I'm telling you right now. Mark my words. I'm saying this right now. By the end of this is a top contender.
For all anime, this might be one of the greatest. Contender. Wow. All right, guys. Well, you heard it here first. 2 Detroit nerds. We're out.